Hey everybody, welcome to the studio. I've done a few live videos before. I've never done, I don't think I've ever done a proper YouTube video. I had an idea a long time ago for some YouTube videos and never followed through with it, but I was asked recently to do a watercolor paint along for a group, and they wanted to paint Biltmore, and so this is the front tower, I suppose you'd call it, at the Biltmore Estate. So that's going to be the subject. The idea that I had a long time ago that I never followed through with was to do drawings like this on the watercolor paper, pick out a limited palette, and then you could buy the drawing on the watercolor paper, the limited palette, and then I would do a YouTube video. You could go to that YouTube video and follow along, and that's what this is going to be, this video. This will be the first in a series of videos. I shoot it live, or I'm going to be shooting them live, because I do not, well, I've never edited videos, don't know the first thing about it, and I don't really want to be a YouTube guy. I'd rather just paint. And who knows, maybe I take up editing at a future date, but for now, this is what this is going to be. So we're going to be working with 5 colors, and those colors for the sky, we're going to use Phthalo Blue, which is, I've been told, a not popular color for skies, but it's one that I like, so I'm doing it anyways. We're going to use Payne's gray for this part of the roof and some of the shadows. We're going to use yellow ochre for the main structure. We're going to use Colbalt blue for some of the lighter shadows. And for this feature at the top that runs here, we're going to use, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's just a green that ended up in my palette over the holidays while I was doing all the painting. It's this one right here. It's a combination. I'm basically going for like a teal blue or teal green. It's kind of hard to tell. It's probably teal green, but anyways, those are the colors that we're going to be using. And what we're going to do is a very loose, we're not going to be real heavy with the paint. It's going to be I guess delicate would be a good way to put it. That's the reason that I used, I have a fountain pen. It's a copy of a Lamy, but it has an extra fine tip, and that's what I used here, and really loose lines. So this isn't like my typical style, but it's something that I've kind of been wanting to take a shot at for a while. I really like that, just very loose, very fine lines, and then the very, easy, delicate paints that we're going to use as far as like hues. We're not going to use, very strong colors for the most part. The lines that I have put in here are generally the deepest shadows, so that kind of gives us a framework to paint around. So that's what we got here. The paper I'm using is Ochre's. This is 140 pound. Usually I use 300 pound, but it's a block, so it shouldn't bow up very much, which can happen when you use a lot of water. So right now we're just gonna wet the paper. I'm not going for complete coverage, just putting it in there. We're also not going to bring the sky any further down here because there's more structure. So we're gonna keep the sky real loose up here. Okay. Now I've loaded the brush up with the Phthalo Blue. Rinse it out. And rinse it out and then dry it off just a little bit and then pull some of that out. And it'll also soften the edges. Make sure you continue to rinse it out or you're just going to put blue back on top of blue. I think we're done with that. One of the challenges of painting a sky is making the clouds look random. So if you use a lot of water and you approach it really loose, then that water will create the random effect for you. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry for a minute before I do anything else. If you go in too quickly, then your other colors will bleed, and a little bit of that bleeding is fine. But you don't want those colors to bleed up into the sky, or at least not much. I think I'm gonna add a little bit right there. This is one of my favorite brushes, Princeton Neptune number 8. It's huge, but you can do a lot of detail with it. But it holds a lot of water. So I'm gonna spread this out with a dry, or a wet brush, but one that doesn't have any paint in it. There we go. And pull some of that up. And then soften that edge. I don't think I can do any better than that.